5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
Welcome to the stream. Welcome to the channel. I hope you guys are all having a blessed evening. Big up to everyone. Today is the match preview for Chelsea against Arsenal. A London derby, a match between two teams that have a rich history in the Premier League, and head to head. It's always been a very, very important fixture, Chelsea Arsenal. A game that sees Chelsea not having a fantastic season, having one of the worst seasons in recorded history, taking on Arsenal, who have been, who have bottled it recently. In their title challenge, they've capitulated recently. Their last few games have been, really bad by their standard, the standard that they have set for themselves this season. So today we're going to be doing a match preview. We're going to be talking about the upcoming fixture. A fixture with everything that's been happening for us this season is really not that big, but there is a twist. Arsenal still have hopes. They still have ambitions to pick up the title this season. It's not looking good, but they still have that chance. Mathematically speaking, they can still do it. They can still push Man City to the very, very last game. That being said, if Chelsea were to get a result tomorrow, then we're pretty much killing the hopes of Arsenal winning that title that they have been playing so well and so hard to try to achieve. We could destroy all that tomorrow if we bring in the result, if we bring in the performance that we, technically speaking, can bring in. But will we do it? That's what I'm going to be talking about in today's stream. I have a special guest coming on in just a few moments to give us the Arsenal perspective in regards to the match tomorrow. A person who has been vocal, who has, who knows their football, and that person is Miss Melina. She will be on just after the Frank Lampard press conference, where we're going to react to that. Once we see that, Miss Melina, and I see her in the chat. Big up to Miss Melina. She'll be on and she'll be giving us that perspective. So hopefully we'll have a little discussion in regards to what we can expect to see happen tomorrow. That is the idea of tonight's show. Before we continue, do me a favor and smash that like button. I'm seeing there's 11 likes on the board already. Let's get that up to 20, 30, 40, 50, whatever you guys can do for me. I'd really appreciate it. So smash that like button. And if you're new to the Blue Lounge, make sure you hit that subscribe button. And when you do subscribe, turn that bell notification button on. I'd very much appreciate it. Before we get into the press conference, let me just address the comments in the chat and see who we have here. First person is Martin. Martin, big up, Mo. I don't care about the match tomorrow night. But it would be great if Chelsea could put an end to Arsenal's title challenge. It would be great. It would be fantastic. It would be amazing. And that will be something to look forward to tomorrow, if we can do it. But can we do it? That's the question. Jordan, hi Melina. Big up to you, Jordan. Welcome to the stream. Patrick. Big up to you, Patrick. Hey, bro, I'm new here. Hey, listen, Jordan, big up to you and thank you for subscribing. This is a Chelsea fan channel. If you're an Arsenal fan and you want to come in here and banter, you're welcome to do so. If you are a football fan, then you should be subscribed to my channel, Melina's channel, football channels in general. Aiden, big up to you. Welcome to the stream, my brother. Patrick, most definitely bottled it. Well, we'll see what Melina has to say about that in a minute. Did they bottle it? Have they bottled it? Melina, big up to you. Welcome. Big game tomorrow, Melina. We'll be discussing that in in a few minutes. Am I missing anyone? Ryan Davis, big up to you. Welcome to the stream. Abdul Karim, come on, Chelsea FC should win tomorrow. Inshallah, Abdul Karim. Inshallah. All right, guys, let's not delay this any longer. Let's watch the Frank Lampard press conference. Let's react to it. And then we get right into the stream. Let me just find the press conference. Here we go. I haven't seen this yet, so I've read some of the quotes, but I haven't seen it yet. So I'm literally watching it with you guys live on stream. Let's have a look. Share screen. Frank Lampard. Here we go. We'll do it this way. All right, let's go.
Been on holiday and
Yeah, are you happy?
lots of smiles, which is nice. Yeah, we'll begin on the TV with Gary.
Thanks, Adrian. Hi, Frank.
Hi.
Should we get some injury updates from you? I'll give you the names, or you can just go through.
No, you give me, if that's all right.
Koulibaly?
Out for a while still.
Koulibaly, I'll get his name correct. Might help.
Yeah, Cooley.
Yeah, any idea when back? Or?
No, I think it'll be a tight call for the season, to be fair. So he's working away. Been impressed with him actually as a professional. He's doing his job very well, but unfortunately the injury was a bit of a tough one. Cucurella, probably another 2 weeks or so. It was a 2 or 3 week injury when he first did it a week or so ago. Mason and Reece,
Kai Havertz?
Kai Havertz is in contention. The game, he's trained. Anyone else?
I just wondered if there's any update at all on what you said regarding Reece James.
No,
Still the season.
same. Yeah.
Is this a game for Oba, given his vintage, his Arsenal vintage?
We'll see. I've got Obo, I've got Kai, I've got David Fofana. I'm obviously not going to divulge the team right here, but he's fit and ready.
Would the Arsenal connection come into your thoughts at all?
Not really. I think he's probably possibly, because I think we all think sometimes a player going back to their old club gives us a motivation. I haven't delved into that too much with Obo himself, so I'll pick that position on my feeling of how they've trained and what the team structure looks like.
Given the run that.
I mean, seriously, you have to play Aubameyang tomorrow. You have to play Aubameyang tomorrow. The way the way he played in the last game, and the desire he has, the ambition he has, especially against Arteta's Arsenal. And again, I'm going to ask Melina this, but I think, things were not so great between Arteta and Aubameyang. So for him to come back and to literally kill any hopes Arteta has of picking up the title this season, that is a lot of motivation for Aubameyang, right? So Lampard, mate, you need to be thinking about this seriously.
The Arsenal have been on, particularly the last game, and this is a question, but that won't surprise you from me. Is it a good time to play them, or are they wounded?
Yeah, I think it could be either way, couldn't it? I think they've got, very much in the hunt still to win the Premier League, and a fantastic team who've had a great season. So if they're wounded slightly, that could give a big reaction. If we can make things difficult for them, then of course that could feel different. So that one's a hard one to call.
You say though they're still in the chase. In reality, do you think that they really are still in the shout of winning the title?
Yeah, of course, there's enough games left for the element of jeopardy to be there at the top end and the bottom end of the table, I would say. So I think they're fully in it. I think Manchester City has shown incredible form. I think we all respect that, but I think we also have to respect what Arsenal have done this year, and they'll believe they're still in it. And so,
is it actually fair to say that Chelsea are club in distress?
we're not in a great moment, are we? But I think, I've been able to live this now for a few weeks, and I also lived maybe 10 years of incredible success here, and saw that continue, and was part of it again, and then saw it continue. And I think it can be pretty normal if you look at history of all the top clubs in the league, of moments of tough periods. Our opponents tomorrow are a good example of that. They want to be challenging for Premier League, and they are again now. That's been a while for them. So I think we have to put perspective on it and understand that we've got to try and work on all aspects as a club to get back to the feeling and the position of where we want to be. And it's not a given in this league, and there's a lot of work to do.
we are a club in distress, guys. We are definitely a club in distress, and I think sugarcoating it isn't going to help. I think we need to acknowledge the problems that we have, and we need to start repairing the issues that we have. And we got some mad issues. And a side note here, but I think even Pochettino is in a done deal at the moment. We've had so many talks with him, and I think the fact that it's come out today that he's not happy about the dressing room situation with Todd Boehly, and whatnot. These issues have to be addressed. They have to be fixed, regardless of what's happening on the pitch, regardless of what manager comes in and what manager is able to do on that pitch. These underlying issues, they have to be fixed, and we are a club in distress, and it is Mayday.
Arsenal, you're happy because you're a winner, so you clearly won't be happy, but you still relish getting up in the morning and coming to work.
Absolutely.
That's going on.
Absolutely. I was eyes open when I came into this job. I'm too experienced in football as a player and now as a coach to understand that things don't necessarily change overnight in terms of results, and we've seen that. Our job is to work on performance and mentality of the group, training, to try and bring back good feeling, firstly, but good feeling only comes with hard work, as I say. So I enjoy that challenge. I think it's, again, I was very aware of the challenges coming in, and I'm very proud to manage the club. I love being here, and I enjoy doing my job. And the reality of football is that your career will not be full of successes. People will always remember the successes, but part of the job is the tougher moments, whether you're a manager or a player. And you can't always control results, but you can control how you work every day. So I enjoy that aspect of it.
That's just PR talk. He's just giving it, the PR spin. So carry on.
Paul, PLP.
You said, I think the other day, the players seem about 20% down on confidence, and you've just said about the great success you've seen here over the years. Have you ever seen players here, a dressing room here, so low?
Well, I think they're low on confidence and they're also low on performance. So I think I shouldn't distinguish that and make it all about confidence. I think, as I keep saying, you can only work to get a level of performance to then bring confidence back. I've been here in periods of the club where they have had confidence has been low because nobody likes losing games. And I had moments here as a player where we dropped our standards as a collective and had to lift it. Fortunately, in those periods, when you look back over history, we managed to get it back through hard work, maybe level of the squad, whatever at the time. We changed manager a lot in some of those periods. So it's certainly not one to try and compare generations or eras. It's just different now, in terms of the modern player, the squad that we have here, and what expectations are. So the only thing we can do is consider the moment now and the future as a club, and work very hard to get the squad where we want it, and also to get the players performing, so that confidence word is not like a big word I'm using in my press conference every week. Because at a club like this, you should work harder than the level of player. You shouldn't be talking about team confidence, but it's clearly an issue at the minute that needs to be addressed, and it only gets addressed with self-responsibility in the first place throughout the club, actually, to then make it better.
Okay, so that answer is fine. He's talking about the players, he's talking about the confidence, the performance, and all that kind of stuff. He's talking about the position we're in right now, but he forgot to mention the transition. I know he doesn't want to go into that. He doesn't want to go into the transition between one owner and one administration and another. But there is a problem. And Frank Lampard being in his job for a year, 2 years contract, whatever, needs to be careful addressing these topics. I understand that, but Frank Lampard, you're 6 games away from leaving the club. The fans expect you to say a bit more. Maybe it's wrong to expect that, but at least mention it some way, somehow. The transition, because most of the problems that we're seeing right now is from the ownership, is from what they've done. And I know, you're employed by them and you can't be expected to say too much. But you're smart with your words. At least let the fans know there's people there that can see it and can at least understand it. So again, I don't blame him for avoiding that topic, but at the same time, maybe someone should, and maybe he will. Maybe he will when he leaves this job. I don't know.
There was a moment at the end of the Brentford game where, as visiting fans do, they directed some taunts at you, which I'm sure you weren't aware of. But I thought it was very telling the way the Chelsea fans, as one in a bad moment, they all essentially leapt to your defence, started singing your name and so on. And I wonder, even though you're clearly not enjoying results and things, how much you've enjoyed that connection again.
Yeah, I've enjoyed it, and that's very normal. I expect that from Brentford fans in a moment of good feeling for them. I said before and after the game what a great story they've been in the Premier League, so I certainly won't moan about that. I think they probably were just reminded by the Chelsea fans that this club's had a lot of success in the last 20 years, and they're probably trying to work to their version of success.
Nice.
Obviously, the Brentford game was at home. The game before against Real was at home. I wonder how close, even though this next game's away, how close the first 60 minutes against Real is sort of a framework for what you could do at Arsenal.
I think every game is different and gives different challenges tactically, so that will be different. But in terms of togetherness of a group that connected on the pitch, the first 60 minutes against Madrid was very, very good, other than the last bit. So we have to try and find that last bit as well, but we have to be connected and show the same motivation through the team and energy, because Arsenal are a fantastic team with very good players and a great team ethic, and that's what makes great teams. So we have to match that as a start, as we did with Madrid in that period, to try and get a result.
Just finally from me, there's talk that because against City, Arsenal perhaps struggled a bit in the middle of midfield, Jorginho might come in. What are your memories of working with him?
I like Georgie. He's a very, very good player, and was part of the team that went on to win the Champions League and a central figure in it, I think. Good personality in the dressing room to drive the team, a good player. And if he plays, he's just another good player in that squad. And that's the options that teams that are challenging for titles have. So sometimes you can change a player and not drop the level, or in fact bring a different type of player in. And if that happens, then it's obviously something we've just got to deal with.
That's good.
Thank you.
Thanks, Paul. Last question in the broadcast section, Liam Twimmy.
Hi, Frank. Arsenal made a massive leap in performance this season with probably the youngest team in the league. Having had a bit of time to work with this squad now, particularly the younger players that are in this squad, do you see the core of a group that could grow together over time and eventually reach that level as well?
Well, I think it's interesting to compare the Arsenal club. We all had a little insight into Arsenal, didn't we, the Amazon series, and I think when you see what they're producing now, and myself as a football person, the interesting thing about watching the series and maybe seeing before that, I went up against Mikel when I was a Chelsea manager in that first year, was that there's a long process to sometimes get to where you want to get to. And if I remember playing against Mikel's teams in that early stage, which were sometimes 5 at the back, sometimes 4, sometimes they build with a 4 and then they defend with a 5 and all these things. And now they have a very, very clear identity, and they have a clear, through recruitment, a change of squad, pretty much team completely, other than maybe the players that have come through. And obviously you always need academy players to come through at a high level, and they've had that. But there's been a lot of work to that through Mikel, through the team, through alignment, through good recruitment. And if we talk about it as just happening this season and it's come overnight, I think you have to go back to the beginning and all those tougher periods. So I think, do we have the possibility to do that? Yes. Will it take a lot of time and good decisions along the way? Absolutely, yes. That you can get there. But of course, those things have been probably a credit to Arsenal, because I saw, and you remember the times when the manager was being questioned quite a few times, the owners were being questioned, the players were being questioned. And that process can take 2 or 3 years, which it has done. And within that 2 or 3 years, you've got to make a lot of right decisions to keep working in a good way. And to be fair, from a coach's side, I think it's a great thing to see a club stick with a manager when maybe at another club, they may have changed manager 2 or 3 times. I think they're a great example of that done well, and a part of the answer as to why they're where they are now. As I say, alongside good, very good coaching and good players.
Okay, thank you. End of the broadcast section.
All right, that was the Frank Lampard press conference. Make of it as you want. Make of it as you want. Trying to be diplomatic, giving a lot of PR, but what can you expect with the club being in the situation they're in? Yeah, he's gonna have to do that. He's gonna have to be diplomatic. He's gonna have to give you a spin on a lot of the things that he is trying to address. Lads, Melina is here, and just give me 1 second. Okay, yeah, no, we're good to go. We're good to go. Melina is here, and we are going to start this second portion of the stream. Martin, I'm gonna say it's unclear right now. The answer to your question is unclear right now. I hope the answer is yes, but I wouldn't be surprised if it's no. And that's in regards to Pochettino, and I see your question there in the chat, my brother. Miss Melina, welcome to the stream.
Thank you very much.
How are you?
On the show.
How you doing?
It's been a long time. Hopefully my audio is fine. And for once, Chelsea are having a very poor season, and I'm
for once, yeah,
on my face for once on this channel. But it's great to be on here. Thank you for having me, and I'm looking forward to the game tomorrow. A massive game, the last London derby of the season, and hopefully you're not the team that destroys our title charge.
All right, that's a good place to start. That's a good place to start. Before I continue, I want to just say big up to you and thank you for accepting the invitation. Guys, if you want to subscribe to Melina's channel, in the title, just click on her name and it will take you straight into her channel, and you can go ahead and subscribe. And I mean, I'm not trying to big up an Arsenal channel here, but it's a YouTube thing. It's a football community thing. So if you want to get diverse content, get a different perspective, go check out the channel and make sure you subscribe to her channel. Okay, the title destruction that we could see tomorrow. This is the way I want to approach it. Before we talk about what can happen tomorrow, I want to ask you what has happened recently, because you guys were on fire. You were knocking out teams left, right, and center, and all of a sudden just stopped. What happened? What happened?
Anfield, Southampton, and West Ham. It's not the manner in which we drew those games. It's the fact that we were 2-0 up and capitulate like that. The way in which we drew felt more than a loss than a draw. Anfield away, we've never won there in God knows how long. And to be 2-0 up and then just rattle the crowd, rile up Anfield, a loud and angry Anfield, and then capitulate. No defensive structure whatsoever. The midfield loses structure, loses balance. And then from defense to midfield, there's no link up. There's no communication. We capitulate. All right, Anfield is a one-off. It's a draw. We're happy to leave there with a point. It could have been a loss because Liverpool in the second half were dominating the pitch, all over the pitch, like a training session for them. Okay, fine, whatever. It's Anfield. We move on to then go to West Ham. West Ham fighting for relegation. Yeah, these teams you can't underestimate. But then again, we were dominating most of the league, number one position for most of the league. And you're telling me the same thing. So against Anfield, Arteta doesn't realize there's changes that need to be made. The lack of in-game management, poor in-game management, late substitutions, poor substitutions. And then you're not making any changes in that starting 11 against West Ham. We have Jorginho, who we gracefully got from Chelsea as someone who can be a leader on the pitch, someone who has won everything except the Premier League. We signed him for these reasons, yet we're playing Fabio Vieira, who's not ready for the Premier League, in my opinion. He's too raw. He's too young. He's too inexperienced. And he wasn't ready for the pressure. Okay, West Ham, the same thing. We go up 2-0 and then bam, we draw the game 2-2. Again, feels like a defeat. There is no atmosphere tax attached to West Ham. Anfield, you can say there's an atmosphere. Arsenal couldn't handle the pressure at Anfield. It's hard for teams to win games at Anfield. But West Ham, there's no excuse and no reason not to win that game. The manner in which we drew that game, and then the Southampton was disgraceful. 3-1 down to Southampton, a team in 20th in the league. We really underestimated these teams. And I think ever since the West Ham draw, the players' mentality and the players, it felt like they gave up. It felt like they didn't care. It felt like they were done for.
Is it the lack of experience in your squad and
Yeah,
in the manager as well? Is that?
It was men against boys against Man City. You saw the way in which we played. We didn't even have a shot on target. The only shot on target was from the same guy. The whole fan base was scapegoating Rob Holding. You know, 4-1. It wasn't even Rob Holding's fault for the mistakes made in that City game at the Etihad. The midfield, where was Thomas Partey? Our fan base put Thomas Partey in conversations at a dining table where he shouldn't even be in. Conversations like, oh, he's better than Rodri. No, it's not the case. You need to be objective here, and you need to get rid of your personal bias. Thomas Partey has been having a stinker right, left, and center for more than 2 games. And that's the reality. Saka, against West Ham, missing that penalty, he should have been taken off. No player is bigger than the objectives and ambition of my football club. No player should have a safe spot in that starting 11. If you're not performing, then you need to be observing from that bench and come off the bench as an impact substitution. Arteta's in-game management, you know, it shows the inexperience. It shows that he's still learning. He still has areas to improve on the job. And against Southampton, to draw to a 20th team Southampton, we were 3-1 down to Southampton. Disgraceful performance. Tomorrow against Chelsea Football Club, if my team doesn't get 3 points on the board, it's over. The season is a failure of a season for me. And it's not just the fact that we would have bottled the league. It's more so the fact that we have no trophy to our name this season. What's the difference, Mo, between 2nd place and 4th place? Nothing. There's no difference.
No. It's Champions League qualification is we're walking away with. Yeah. But this is the thing. A lot of the fan base, a lot of the Arsenal fan base were so sure that this was the season. This was the the one. And to be fair, the way that Arteta got the guys to perform, the energy, the teamwork. The way you guys were playing your football, it was
fluid.
It was fluid. It was good. It was a kind of football you can pay to watch. Enjoyable football. However, even though you guys haven't performed well over the last few games, I don't think you guys are all of a sudden a bad team. I think it's the lack of experience. I think the pressure started to mount. You guys are there. You can see the finish line ahead of you, and the fact that you've been top of the league for such a long time, it makes it harder to maintain that. When you're chasing, you have a goal and you're looking at it and you're trying to catch it. But when you're setting the pace, it's a little bit more difficult. But the issue that I want to address here is: do you think this has been a failure, even if you don't win the title, or is this something you can build on for the next season? The future of the club, because you guys have a lot of youngsters in the club.
No, it's definitely something we can build on for next season. I mean, the aim this season was Champions League football, which we've qualified for. But the objectives changed around December, January. And the objectives at that point was we can clinch this Premier League title. And I know it's not over until the final day of the season. But right now it's looking like that's going to be a lot more difficult. We made it hard upon ourselves. It's not just us competing with Man City. It kind of seems like we shot ourselves in the foot here. We had an 8-point gap at one point. One point we had a 5-point lead. And we failed to win games that we should have won comfortably. Instead of putting these games to bed with a 3-0, 4-0 scoreline, with that 2-0 scoreline, it's no longer comfortable. You saw the Liverpool Tottenham game just the other day. Liverpool in the end came on to win it, but we don't have that mentality. And in fact, we don't have the bench players. The drop off between our first team and the bench players is a significant drop off in quality. I know no one's going to have starting 11 on their bench, like starting 11 quality on their bench. Man City, you can argue they have the funds financially to do so and the trophies to back it up. But for us, we have a lot of youth and a lot of players who aren't good enough. Rob Holding, he should have been gone a long time ago. You could argue El Neni, he's injured, not available. Losing Saliba and Tomiyasu I know injuries affect every team, but not having
Melina,
adequate
I
replacement
wanna
for them.
addressing your squad size. So,
Yeah.
I see Julius in the chat. Big up to you, Julius.
Yes.
Next season, you got Champions League football.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're gonna have a lot more games to be, to be battling out with against top European sides as well as the Premier League. Do you think that is sustainable for Arsenal to mount a challenge next season
The squad we have right now, no way.
with the squad you have right now? No,
No.
okay, fair enough.
Definitely not. We need to go out there and shop, and not shop at Poundland. We need to go and shop at like a Selfridges, somewhere where we can actually get Premier League proven players, and not players like Jacob Kiwiar, who's not touched Premier League football. With all due respect, they're just not good enough and not ready for the Premier League. I don't know if you've seen like a lot of the academy we're selling. We sold Amari Hutchinson to you guys. Charlie Patino looks like he wants to leave, and the academy is there to make money off of, right? Not everyone is going to end up like a Bukayo Saka, and that's just the facts. You have to be able to let go of certain players and not hold on to, oh, he's my favorite player, let's just keep him for another year. That's not how this works. If we're trying to win and actually be back to where we were before, we need to be ruthless in buying and ruthless in selling. And I think Arsenal Football Club differentiates from Chelsea significantly. Chelsea were able to get so much money for Tammy Abraham when they sold him to Roma. Unlike us, we get a packet of crisps for selling certain players because they're aged, they're expired, and nobody wants to buy them. That's the difference between us. And I know people would argue about Marina and Bruce Buck not doing good enough, but there's the one thing she actually did half decent was selling players for overvalue. And that's something.
But she also brought a couple overvalue as well. So
Yeah,
it goes both ways. I want to go back to the game tomorrow.
Yes.
So I've seen some Arsenal fans talk the talk, as in, we're the underdogs here. It could go either way. Talk of that nature. I mean, listen, I'm a big Chelsea fan. I love my club. I love my team, but I'm also realistic. I'm also a realist, and the way we have been playing this season, the kind of performances we've been putting in, the bad run of form that we've had. I mean, do you guys really fear Chelsea tomorrow? Is that a thing?
Player I fear in your team, I don't know if he's gonna start, and it's Aubameyang. I'm worried about.
I'm hoping he starts.
Because I heard the press conference today from Lampard saying Kai Havertz was available for selection, that he trained today. However, I still have a feeling Aubameyang would love to play against us. He has that fire in his belly due to the past situations, and I think it's more of a personal vengeance to be that guy to say, I ruined Arsenal's title charge. I got revenge.
Melina, tell me from an Arsenal's perspective, from an Arsenal fan's perspective, what exactly happened between him and Arteta? I mean, because we're hearing this and that, but what actually happened?
Yeah, so from that documentary, the All or Nothing documentary, what we were shown was Arteta actually had a dossier of, him missing training, being late, flying over to a different country, to Barcelona, and not even informing the club. Just, they didn't see eye to eye, and it was on more than one occasion in training, on the pitch, and during big games. North London Derby, he didn't show up. A big game, a North London Derby is the biggest game of our season. And the club captain, as a club captain, you're doing things that are giving a negative influence on the youngsters in our squad. I just felt like they didn't see eye to eye. And in the end, the club made an overall decision that it's time to get rid of him. And because he was already in Barcelona at the time, they then he ended up signing for Barcelona. After that, he wasn't happy, or Chelsea looked like they wanted to get Aubameyang, and then he ended up in London. Unfortunately for Chelsea, it just looks like it hasn't worked out for him. But the times I've seen him play for you guys, he's been good. He's been the Aubameyang. We know the potential he has from the start. In the later stages of Aubameyang at Arsenal after the FA Cup, he helped us single-handedly win that FA Cup in Arteta's first season. But in the later stages, We felt like he was a shadow of himself. And it wasn't just him, it was Lacazette. There was a lot of players not putting in the service, not getting service, or not producing with what they had. And I guess the squad wasn't good enough. Defensively, we had very poor players. Saliba was still on loan. And I just think, long story short, they didn't see eye to eye. And I don't think it was anything personal, but from what I've, like, Lacazette was shocked when Aubameyang said, I'm moving to Chelsea because it's a direct rival. Why would you go to a direct rival? The same way when we signed Jorginho, I said, why are we getting another Chelsea player? You know, we're Chelsea's retirement home. And I was proven wrong. You know, I like Jorginho. I like.
Yeah, tell me what you guys think of Jorginho, because Chelsea, we're divided on him. What do you think of him?
So I have a lot of Chelsea fans as friends. I don't know how, but they tolerate me for only for a few hours. But my friends told me, you know, Melina, you're getting a leader, you're getting an experienced player in your team. And I said, what are you talking about? The only players we get from Chelsea are retirement home players. They're not good enough. I don't want him. And after going for someone like Mudryk and going for Caicedo, and then all of a sudden hearing you're linked with 31-year-old Jorginho, he's going to have a medical at Arsenal Football Club, it was very disappointing. And it felt like a last minute option. I know Arteta has wanted him in the past, but that was when he was much younger. I know he doesn't get injured, so that's what I liked. His injury record is very good. And he doesn't have any attitude issues. He's won every trophy with Chelsea except the Premier League. And I knew we were getting an experienced player, someone who's Premier League proven, and someone who will give this young team leadership. Now, when we got him, I was really nervous in terms of, is this guy going to sabotage us? What's he going to do? But it looks like when he plays, he doesn't have the pace like Xhaka. He's a slow player, but he's the type of guy you want in games where when we were 2-0 up, you bring this guy on to control the tempo of the game. And I think we're not using him sufficiently enough because of Partey. But this guy needs to start ahead of Fabio Vieira. It's clear as day the significant experience differences. And I like him, and I'm happy we have him in our team.
All right, cool. Yeah, no, all the points you mentioned is the things I see in him. You know, leadership. You know, a good footballing brain, controls the tempo, and we definitely have missed him this season, in my opinion. And I know, like I said to you, he divides the fan base. But he's definitely a player that can control games, and
Yes.
We've lacked control in a lot of the games that we played recently. Tomorrow, I'm hoping, and the majority of the people in the chat, and guys, you need to be smashing that like button. You need to be smashing that like button. I'm hoping that the majority of the people in the chat are hoping that tomorrow Chelsea can put that final nail in the coffin of Arsenal's, challenge for the title. However, realistically speaking, we think it's going to be a very, very tough game, and we think Arsenal have the upper hand in this game. Do you guys have that same perception, or do you guys think it's going to be a little bit more challenging than that?
I think it's going to be a little bit more challenging, not a walk in the park like some of us hope so. I think it can be end to end, but Chelsea, over the last games, they haven't won. They're very poor and they're very struggling to keep up. But with Arsenal, 3 games on the bounce, we've been poor, we've been inconsistent, and this is a game we're playing at home. We have the home advantage, and if this is the game where we boost our confidence for that business end of the season, not long left to go, and we have some tough away games ahead, this is the game where I want the players to give it all. Against Man City, you didn't do anything. You barely showed me you had the ambition and the courage. You barely gave me anything. Show me that in this game against Chelsea in a London derby. If you can't do it then, and if the team isn't up for it tomorrow, then it shows that their heads have dropped, and just Champions League qualification was what the aim was, and challenging for the league, trying to challenge for the league. I think we gave Pep Guardiola and that team of quality players a good run for their money, but I wouldn't be happy with second place. I just feel like we can go further, and I feel like the league isn't over yet, but I'm probably just one of the few Arsenal fans who still believe like maybe it's possible if we win all our games and potentially City drop points Some Arsenal fans say City can drop points, but whether we will pick up any, that's the doubt. It's like Chelsea right now. Chelsea, you don't know whether you're going to win your games. So I think that's the divide there with our fan base.
I'll bring Julius in 1 second. Julius is one of my regular panelists. I'll bring him in 1 second. Before I bring him in, I want to ask this question: can Arsenal realistically believe that they have a chance to win the title? I mean, you were talking about Man City dropping points. I mean, looking at the fixture list, I think it's going to be quite tough to see, to see Man City dropping enough points. And you guys literally have to win every single one of your matches and hope that they lose. Realistically, is it not over yet? Do you guys still believe?
I think, I'll say it this way. My mind says it's over, second place, Champions League qualification. But my heart still says it's possible. Maybe just a little bit in me says, I guess I've been an Arsenal fan my whole life and I haven't seen a league title for 19 years. So my heart says it's not over yet. It can go to the last day. Maybe we can lose by a point or win by a point. But Man City, the form that they are on, if we're being honest with ourselves, they are unstoppable. Whether Haaland plays or not, Julian Alvarez, an incredible baller. Even with Rodri, the players they have, and even with them being in Champions League, they play better when they're in more fixtures and in more competitions. Certain Arsenal fans said, "Oh, Arsenal are playing one game a week. It will give them better mentality." I think it actually made us weaker because we're not having that match fitness. We're not having, regular game time, and the mentality of the players tend to drop. It just feels like there is inconsistency within the team, and especially from that defensive display of drop off between Saliba and Rob Holding. And to cover for Rob Holding tomorrow, I think we're gonna have to do a 4-3-2-1 and a double pivot of Partey and Jorginho. I tried to do that and play Odegaard in front of them. A front three of Saka, Martinelli, and Jesus, or even Trossard coming off the bench would be a great substitution. I hope Jorginho will want to do well against his former team the same way you guys want Aubameyang to play. We're really nervous of Aubameyang. We did a preview earlier today, and we were saying with Aubameyang playing up against Rob Holding, it will be more of a risk to us. And it's just a matter of what Lampard picks at the end of the day.
I hope Lampard is watching the stream and he decides to pick Aubameyang tomorrow. Julius, big up to you. How are you, my brother?
Big up both.
Welcome,
Hi,
brother.
Julius.
Welcome.
Thanks, man. I'm here.
Julius, go ahead, brother. Yeah, I'll let you take over, man. Take over.
To be honest, if I was an Arsenal fan, I would not be scared at all, because no matter who we put up front, if there's no tactics, we're not gonna do anything. We don't have any tactics, man. We are so crap. And I don't know, man. If there is one game they need to show something, it's tomorrow, man.
I Julius, that 60 minutes against Real Madrid, you guys showed, I know later in the game it changed, but that 60 minutes, you guys were dominant, and you dominated Real Madrid, and it's a Champions League match.
Melina, it wasn't tactics. It was heart. It was passion. It was, adrenaline in the blood.
That's what I'm saying. For a London derby, I think the players will be up for it.
I don't know, Julius. I'm expecting, and I didn't do this today, but I'm in my lineup, I'm expecting to see, I don't know, maybe Havertz up top with Gallagher just behind him with a back nine. What do you think he's going to be doing tomorrow?
Honestly, I have no clue, man. Havertz or Aubameyang. If I am picking the team, obviously I'd put Aubameyang up front, but I just don't understand. I don't know what we're doing. I don't understand what we will be doing, what formation, what tactics. I have no clue. If you ask me what is the system we are playing, no idea. Nobody knows. Even
so what formation would you play tomorrow?
I would play 3-5-2 tomorrow, and I would put Havertz and Aubameyang up front.
Problem with that, Julius, is we don't have any. I mean, we've got Aspilicueta who's going to be our right wing back, and he's not really that quick. So I don't know. I mean, I think we might be better off playing a formation that Lampard is comfortable with, and maybe a 4-2-3-1.
Maybe Loftus-Cheek could replay that position. He did well
Could.
this season in that position, and he offers also height.
What about Mudryk?
Yeah, Mudryk is interesting as well. I don't know. I look, I think on Mo's stream, someone asked me about Mudryk when we were linked with him, and I said I don't have any comments because, to be really honest with you, I don't know who this guy was before our links. I've heard of him in Champions League. He like, honestly, from Arsenal fans as well, I've heard of him, and I don't know much about him. I'm not gonna judge a player that I only heard of or seen clips of YouTube. Since he joined Chelsea, nothing special. Not gonna lie.
But he's still young though, and I think. See, the thing is, I will say, because we missed out on this player, right? So the thing with Mudryk, I will say though, Julius, I think in the long term, he has the potential to have a high ceiling, depending on the coach he is under. Now, the only thing I will say is if he had chosen Arsenal and came to us, I think he would have suited our system better than the Chelsea system at the time you had Graham Potter. With Lampard, I don't know what your system is. I don't even know if you have a system.
We don't. Even under Potter, we didn't have a system, to be honest with you.
Even Lampard doesn't know what the system is. I just thought I'd mention that.
It's all vibes. It's all vibes and like, you know,
Inshallah.
talking. Yes, exactly. Inshallah. And yeah, they just wanna vibe and rely on history. Oh, we did this back in the days, me and Drogba and the boys.
Terry and Carvalho.
You know, it doesn't work like that. But
I
go.
want to ask. No, I want to ask because you know, we literally don't know, you know, what's going to happen tomorrow in regards to lineup, in regards to selection. It's up in the air. But you guys have a manager who's been there for a little bit now. So, what do you think is going to be your approach, Arsenal's approach to the game tomorrow?
Yeah, so I would do a 4-2-3-1 tomorrow, as I said. Put Tierney in the team. Tierney, he's very direct with his crosses. I'd still keep Ramsdale in goal. I know recent games he has been a bit suspect, but it doesn't neglect the fact that he's made some brilliant saves overall this season. I'd continue with Ramsdale. We have no choice but to play Rob Holding. With that being said, I would go stronger defensively to cover for Rob Holding. I'd play Tierney, Gabriel, Thomas Partey, Ben White, Martinelli, Trossard, and Jesus up front, Odegaard and Saka on the other side. I would like to start Trossard and keep Jesus and Trossard together. The thing Arteta likes to do, he likes to take Jesus off at 60 minutes. I like to see both of them together. They can play interchangeably together and alternate between the two sides on the attack, and it would strengthen our attack, not take him off in 60 minutes. Jesus really needs to boost his confidence. The last couple of games, he was missing easy chances, and it just felt like since the World Cup, since he came back from that massive surgery, he hasn't necessarily been the same player that we knew of him. Trossard, we know what he offers. We know what he has to bring. And this is a big game for Bukayo Saka, Martinelli to turn up, especially this whole team, because the last couple of games, last 3 games in a row, we have been a shadow of ourselves this season. And it's not a reflection of us overall in the season where we dominated games. We were bossing teams off the park. And tomorrow is a game where we really need to show it.
Yeah, true. Julius, your reaction to that?
Melina is showing us a lot of respect, you know.
No, listen. Melina is a realist. She also knows football. She isn't going to be coming on here and like, oh, we're going to smash you.
Yeah, no.
No. So I've watched her content. And,
she's proper, man. Respect. Because honestly, in general, I cannot stand Arsenal fans.
Everybody says that to me.
And I would be cooking right now and would be shameless. But
when I get 2 Champions League to my name, then I can be shameless. But We're working towards it. Don't worry.
I'm just going to change that statement. Not when, but if. If. All
Well,
right, but listen. The thing is this. All banter aside, I think what you guys have done this season has been phenomenal. Especially considering I'm gonna say this, and I can't believe I'm gonna say this, but you guys trusted the process, and I did not think that process was getting anywhere, but you guys did trust it. Um, as an Arsenal fan, looking into because we are inside the whole Chelsea bubble, so maybe
yeah.
looking from the outside to get a different perspective. But what do you think of what Todd Bowley, the new consortium, what they've done in Chelsea as an external view? I'd love to hear your opinion on that.
Yeah, so I disagree with the whole buying big name players for the sake of it to appease the fans or whatever. It feels like there's no clear identity, and for the last 3 seasons, the time you guys were aiming for Haaland, you were screaming out loud for creativity. I watch Worldwide Chelsea a lot. Shout out to Sadiq, and
Pick up to
they were crying for creativity in the midfield, and then you ended up signing Lukaku. Okay, the Lukaku thing didn't work out. And then the Werner was sent back. Lukaku was sent back. Now you have Lukaku coming back. It just seems like there's a lot of disconnect between Bowley and the manager. Some of the signings, I'd argue, are Bowley signings and not necessarily the manager signings. But maybe you can tell me the manager approves them at the end of the day, or the manager says yes or no, has a final say. I just feel like there's a lot of disconnect between what the manager wants and what Bowley wants. And for you guys to get rid of a manager that helped you guys win the Champions League with the squad that you had at the time in Thomas Tuchel, one of the best managers. I know at Bayern it's a different story, but in the Premier League, he bossed Chelsea to glory, and you can't negate that. And for you guys to get rid of him just because of a discrepancy or whatever it may be, I disagree with that, and I feel there's a lot of disconnect with the players. The only players who seem to show up in that Chelsea kit are Reece James and Thiago Silva, week in and week out. And unfortunately, Reece James is required to do that surgery that he was postponing for a while. These kind of players, they postpone and they continue to play with injuries because that's how much playing for the badge means to them. But there's some players in your team, Conor Gallagher, Ruben Loftus-Cheek, not good enough for Chelsea Football Club. And certain fans that create these player hives. Mason Mount is a baller. I would take him at Arsenal Football Club. But when you put so much pressure on a player to perform at that age, Mason Mount, for instance, I just feel like they're not able to perform to the expectations, and it's too much pressure on them from certain fans. Fans that create these player stands. And Chelsea, honestly, if you guys get a good manager, which I don't know about Pochettino, even it's not confirmed yet, Pochettino, I know you were linked to Nagelsmann, and that's not happening. Luis Enrique, I don't think that's happening. I think Chelsea for 2-3 years have to go through a mini rebuild phase, and I don't think Mason Mount will sign a new contract. I know some Chelsea fans don't mind, but the players you have in Reece James and Thiago Silva, I think they're Chelsea for life, and I don't think they would leave. That's the kind of leadership you need, not just in two players, but in your whole squad, in your whole starting 11. I feel like the dressing room is disconnected. I'm looking forward to see you guys have what's his name, Nkunku next season. I think he's a great player, phenomenal player, and you're already doing your business early on. But we'll see what Chelsea has to offer next season. I know people said Chelsea in the Champions League, no matter how poorly you can be in the Premier League, Chelsea turn up in Champions League. And to give Real Madrid a fight, like you did, I think you should be proud of that. But this season, it's unexpected. I didn't even know Chelsea would be like this season. When Todd Bowley took over, I thought, Roman Abramovich, for you guys to be sanctioned that way, it was unfair for political reasons. And even though I'm an Arsenal fan, I'll keep it real. Those sanctions should have never happened in the first place. You guys were not able to buy, not able to sell. You really stuck in there, and then This season has just been a complete write-off. Next season, I hope you guys start fresh and get back to where you normally are.
Big up to you. Big up to you. No, respect.
Yeah, man. Wow. Rough,
Yeah,
man.
no, big up, big up. No,
Big
listen, you know, you hit the not the nail, the nails on the head in all the points that you've mentioned. So big up to you. Yeah, no, it's good. It's good that we we can see this from an external perspective because we discuss it, we talk about it. Some of us have agendas. Some of us have, like you said, we like certain players, we like certain things. But seeing someone who does not have an agenda, who does not support a player, X player, it's good. It's good. The thing is this: I believe that one of the issues we have is Todd Bowley tried to implement what he saw Arsenal do with Arteta. And he did that with Graham Potter in respect to giving him, a fair chance. And he stuck by him for a very, very long time when he should have sacked him, maybe back in February, back in January. But he stuck with him, and he saw Arteta. He saw the way Arteta was handling his business, and the club stuck by him because you guys were shouting for his head not so long ago, and asking for him to get sacked. But the fact that the board stuck by him, I think that is the kind of model that Todd Bowley tried to implement. Todd Bowley, not knowing the history, not knowing the structure, not knowing the system, trying to copy and paste something that's working in Arsenal will not work at Chelsea. And what works in Chelsea will not work in Arsenal.
But the thing is, Arteta in his first season, he never got as much financial backing as Todd Bowley, gave Graham Potter this season. In this summer and last summer, for you guys to spend this much money, 15 left wingers, and to still have to choose between 3, it's very questionable decisions being made. And, with all due respect, to see my owner in a Twitter space and for people to say, give me Enzo Fernandez, I want a new shiny toy. Give me Joao Felix. Joao Felix is a baller of a player. And if he stays, and if you guys are willing to pay his wages, I think this guy has a trajectory in the Premier League. He's a baller, and you see what he offers to Chelsea. But the midfield is disconnected. The attack is very poor, and it's the same things as you guys spoke about 2-3 years ago. The midfield issue. I think the lack of creativity, the lack of depth, and right now you don't have an identity. How are you supposed to move forward? How are you supposed to sign transfer targets without knowing what formation, what strategy you're gonna do, what identity you're gonna have? You don't have an identity right now.
No, spawn. I wanna just mention something to Julius that Melina just said. Her evaluation of Mason Mount, bowler, and she would love to have him at Arsenal. Why don't a lot of the Chelsea fans see that?
Because they're a bunch of idiots. As simple as that. Plastic scum. That's what everyone who doesn't like Mason Mount is plastic. Because he's Chelsea DNA. It's forget about football on the side. Put it on the side. He is Chelsea DNA. His father told him you should leave Chelsea a few years ago, because you'll never get promoted to the first team. And a lot of the clubs would have took him. Arsenal probably would have took him at that age. And he told his father, no chance I'm going to leave, because my dream, and I'm going to be the first one to get promoted, and I want to win the big trophies with Chelsea. And when he won the Champions League, people forget, and I can't for the life of me understand how people forget that he scored and assisted in the quarters, in the semis, and in the final. We would not have won that second Champions League if Mason Mount was not playing. We wouldn't have won it. And people want to throw him under the bus because we had a season that every single Chelsea player was poor. Not because of them being bad players, because we have bad management, we have bad owners, lack of planning and structuring and vision. It was all over the place. And unfortunately, we all, as Chelsea fans, initially trusted these people that they must have advisors. Like, they must know what they're doing. Come on, are you like in your head you'd be questioning certain things, but then in deep down, like you're not gonna be a billionaire and be an idiot. You know what I mean? And I'm not saying these billionaires are idiots. I'm questioning their vision.
Julius, you can be a billionaire, which makes you very good in business, but crap when it comes to football.
Yeah,
Crap
yeah.
when it comes to running a football club, you know?
Exactly, but like, anyways, Mason Mount is unreal. He's Chelsea DNA. I would remind people to go watch his interview after he won the Champions League, just to see how much he loves the club. And yeah, man, of course she'll take him because Melina knows football. I don't know her. I'm impressed first time. So she's a proper football fan before being an Arsenal. But I have a question for Melina, by the way. I want to challenge a few points. I missed everything. Like when I commented, that was when I was able to come in. So I didn't know what she said before. But I wanted to mention from my perspective, Arsenal did well or looked better this season because, in my opinion, Chelsea is crap.
Yeah.
Liverpool is crap. Spurs are way worse than how they used to be as well. And even if you look at teams like, let's say, West Ham, who were up there as well, kind of they're weak. Like the league seems weaker. Aston Villa now look good because of Unai Emery. 3/4 of the season they were crap. They were almost getting relegated if it wasn't for Unai Emery. And then all of a sudden you're gonna see teams like Newcastle, like and others look better significantly because they had more stability, let's say. And look, I'm not taking away anything from fair play. They took advantage. They looked better. They improved, and that's why they are up there. Even if you could even make an argument, City in the beginning of the season was very inconsistent.
Yeah,
very inconsistent.
They got rid of Cancelo and got Akachi.
Yeah, and this season as well, how many managers have been sacked? Like, so many teams sacked their manager. It has been, in my opinion, a very weird, turbulent season for so many teams, and a lot of teams in transition.
Are you trying to say it's the Leicester season if Arsenal win the Premier League?
So what I'm going to say,
I'm asking you because I heard this this kind of remark many times, so I just wanted to ask you, do you think it's a Leicester season if Arsenal do achieve the Premier League season?
Yes, I believe if they win the Premier League, it would have been an Arsenal, a Leicester season, one-off season, because I don't personally think Arteta knows what he's doing. I think he has an idea that he copied, or not copied, I'd say influenced by Pep, what he learned from Pep.
He's from the school of Pep, of course.
Yes, but I always failed to understand or see him making changes and especially in very tricky moments. That shows me he's tactically
enough.
Yes. And
still learning. So I said this earlier. I guess you weren't here. I said it when I talked about the West Ham game. I talked about Southampton, and I talked about Anfield. The fact that we were 2-0 up and to not make substitutions on time, very poor substitutions, and to bring on someone who's never touched Premier League football, Jacob Kiwior, instead of bringing on Jorginho, it was criminal. And to see that at Anfield, okay, you can argue we left with the points. It's Anfield. We could have lost the game because at that point, Liverpool were dominating us. And I agree with you that Arteta still has a lot to learn on the job. In the beginning, he was a novice manager. He still is a novice manager. He doesn't have anything to his name other than the fact of the school of Pep. But the one thing I will say is for him to take us from 8th to 5th, with certain players that we had at the time, Kolasinac, Mustafi, Mavropanos, Lichtsteiner, players who are not good enough for the Arsenal identity, and we didn't have an identity in the first two seasons. I think the goal this season was Champions League football, like from our trust the process or whatever our process, our plan. Phase 3 was Champions League football, and I think they achieved the It's true, they achieved Champions League football, but the objectives changed from December to January when other teams started falling off. We took advantage and took points. Where other teams were dropping points, we picked up points. When City was dropping points, we collected those points. And that's why we were able to maintain number one in the league for so long. We were at 1.8 points clear, Julius. And the only reason we dropped points is not because of other teams. It's because of our own mistakes, our own inconsistencies, our own poor in-game management. I agree with you on that. Arteta lacks in-game management. He's tactically inept when it comes to big game moments. And I'll even go one step further. Certain players, senior players, I expect to show me leadership. Show me that you can carry this team in big game moments. You know, people want to say Bukayo Saka is world class, but in certain big games, he's a shadow of himself. Thomas Partey, they call him midfield general. He was ghost in big games where we needed him to perform. The midfield, Xhaka, one of my favorite players, was the midfield was nowhere to be found in that game. Southampton, same thing, same mistakes. He hasn't learned, and I think the one thing is every manager has their favorites. And the thing I'm trying to say is no one should be safe from that starting 11. If Saka is missing a penalty against West Ham, you should take him off right away, not leave him on. You know?
Yeah, 100%. I'd say Saka is still very young as well, and your squad is tiny. You don't have, in my opinion, enough depth.
No, and this squad is not good enough for Champions League football. We will get knocked out in the group.
I think we've lost Melina. Give her a second.
No, I can still see that.
Okay, she's back. She's back.
Oh, okay.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
The squad is not good enough for the Champions League. No way can we take the squad to Champions League football. Some of these players are not good enough for Premier League, let alone Champions League football. And that's just the reality of it. Some of these players should have been gone a long time ago.
Yeah.
Like Rob Holding, for instance. He's not good enough.
Yeah, I agree with that. And also I'll add, I know like two things. Manchester City is not normal. Any other year, Arsenal won the league already. Like what City has done is unbelievable. Yes. You can't be winning leagues 3 years back to back with 90+ points. That's never happened before. It's unreal. To be fair to Arsenal, any other year, if you remove City in their inflated squad, they won the league. However, it wasn't City's fault that Arsenal, no matter how good City is, Arsenal was 8 points clear and dropped points to Liverpool, West Ham, Southampton. You win one of these games or two of them, no, go lose to City. Who cares? You know, it doesn't matter.
The games we should have won, we dropped points. West Ham, Southampton, even Anfield, we were 2-0 up and we drew.
Yeah. So both ways, you could say City is not a normal team, and at the same time, Arsenal, they flopped. Like I don't know what's going on in North London. The water is not clean or something. I don't know, but the bottle is real, man.
Julius, I'm actually living in North London right now, so whether they're drinking, I'm drinking. I want to ask the people in the chat. Please make sure you have hit that like button and make sure you have subscribed if you're new. Also, if you click on Melina's name in the description, you can go and subscribe to her channel as well. I want to get you guys also to give me your score predictions in the chat and be kind. Don't be too nasty. So let me see your score predictions for Arsenal versus Chelsea in the chat. I'll ask Melina second. Let me ask Julius first. Julius, what's your score predictions for tomorrow?
Man, I'm afraid I'm gonna be called a disgrace tomorrow if I say what I think, what's gonna happen. But I will say
what you think. I'm going to tell you what I think, and
I think 3-0 Arsenal.
Oh wow!
If not
3-0,
I think 3-0.
I'm not sure if you're generous, if you're brave, but I'll give you mine in a second. Go on, Melina. What's your scoreline?
Mine is very close to Julius, except I think Chelsea will score one goal, maybe a penalty. So I'm going for 3-1 Arsenal win. If we keep a clean sheet, it will be good. I want a higher scoreline though, because we want to get the goal difference up with Man City. But I think, Eddie Nketiah's training ground has been Stamford Bridge for a while. Hopefully he can come off the bench and do the same thing. But we really need 3 points here and nothing less. It's a game where we can boost our confidence, and tomorrow is a big day. But if we win, don't worry, I won't come back here and banter you.
All right, I'm going to be a bit more specific. So it's going to be 3-0 at halftime to Arsenal.
Wow.
Aubameyang will come on in the second half. He'll score 1, make it 3-1, and then Arsenal will get another goal and finish it 4-1. So I'm predicting 4-1 to Arsenal tomorrow. And look, I don't like saying this, but let's be realistic. With the way Arsenal have been playing, with the motivation they have, it's a London derby, yes, but Arsenal have something to play for.
Yes.
Like they need this. Well, for us, it's just we're just trying to do a day one on Arsenal. Literally, we're just trying to stop them from winning the title. And I hope we do. Melina, all
Look,
respect to you.
anything less than 2-3-0 is a disgrace.
In the league, inshallah, we can all party together.
Anything less than 3-0, if they don't win 3-0 plus, I think they should be shameful. Because
Listen, Julius, I'll be honest with you. Yeah, we've now entered into May, so we're due a goal. I mean, we get a goal a month, right? So I'm hoping the goal that we get is against Arsenal tomorrow. So,
the deflection.
Deflection too. Well, let me have a look at what people are saying in the chat. So Jeff is saying 3-0 to Arsenal. Aidan is saying Chelsea 3, Arsenal 2. Positive, mate. Positive. Jordan is saying 2-0 to Arsenal. Boogeyman, as always, 4-0 to Arsenal. I hope the camera don't show Bowley's head tomorrow. It's going to be exploding, mate. It's going to be exploding.
He doesn't care.
Martin says 1-1 Super Frank. I'll take that. I'll take that. And I'll take that. It means you guys don't win the title and we don't lose. So I'll take that. Look, guys, I want to give Julius and Melina last words before we conclude the stream. I'll leave Melina last, and I'll give Julius a chance to give me his final thoughts on the game tomorrow.
There's two things. If there is an ounce of pride in our players, they should fight tomorrow as if it's a final. Because one thing to give the fans is that win or even a draw to hinder Arsenal's chances winning the league. And one thing about Manchester City, because I've been hearing them talk a lot, notice how every single fan in the country wants them to win it. And that is an insult to them, to Manchester City, because that's how much irrelevant they are. They're so nobody cares. Win a Champions League, win a league, who cares? Because you are irrelevant, a 10-foot plastic club that cheated to have the squad. Anyways, to go back to Arsenal, we should fight tomorrow for it to stop that last bit of hope they have. And fair enough, I would have still have a little bit of hope and try to get a draw at least. But in reality, I think they're gonna be up for it. Especially Arsenal, when they go, now that the pressure is off of them, they bottled. Now they want to perform. So tomorrow is gonna be, you're gonna see a very aggressive Arsenal, I'm expecting.
They're chasing now. They're chasing, so yeah. it's a different mindset.
Yeah, so they're gonna be very aggressive, and I will end it by London is blue. We are the pride of London. Even though we are 11th, we still took João Felix from you. We still took Modric.
No, aren't you 12th? Or you're back to 11th?
12. We are 12.
You know, 12, we still have the pedigree, and we will be back. Hopefully, I'm not too optimistic with these owners, to be honest with you. And I've been telling Mo offline. Mo, you agree with me? I think prepare. We are the new banter club on the stage, so. I'm worried. The future is not looking good. We are gonna be living off some glory days made by Roman Abramovich, but I hope we're wrong. And yeah.
Yeah, thank you, Julius. I have some content that I'm planning to make, but I'm just waiting till the end of the season. I don't want to put that content on the on YouTube right now because it's gonna just stir up a lot of dust. Let the season finish, and then I'll make my own dust storm after
الحادث
that.
له حديث.
كل حادث إلى حديث. Exactly. Translation. Every topic has its time. So yeah, we will talk about these topics, and inshallah, we will cover everything in due course. Melina, your final thoughts.
This was a really great preview. It's my first time on this channel. I really enjoyed it. Thank you for having me. I'm really looking forward to the game tomorrow. It's a very big game for us, and always against Chelsea. I think that's Chelsea and Man United. I can't stand both of them together. So more than Tottenham, because Tottenham never win anything. So I'm really looking forward to this. And if we win tomorrow, I hope the confidence continues in this team, and I want these players to show to me that they haven't given up after the 3 poor performances. And yeah, that's a big game tomorrow.
Yeah, definitely. Listen, it was a pleasure having you on. First time on the channel, and I hope it's not the last. And all banter aside, tomorrow is going to be a very, very exciting game. Whatever the outcome, whatever the result, it's definitely one that I'm looking forward to, and one that I'll enjoy watching. Even if I'm going to be crying, it's one of those games. So listen, thank you for coming on, Julius. Thank you for also jumping on. I will be posting a post-match reaction. Depending on the outcome, it might be tomorrow night, it might be the following day where I just need to recover. We'll see what happens. But yeah, I'll see you guys in the next one. Take care of yourselves, and thank you for being here. Take care. Peace.